Choosing the right CCaaS platform for your business can feel really overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. I'm Susie from CX Today, and in this video I am joined by Anand, who is Global Head of CCaaS at Tata Communications, who reveals his top tips on choosing the right CCaaS platform for you and your business. So grab your drink of choice, coffee, tea, wine, whatever, and sit back and enjoy this video. It has some really great insights, and I hope you enjoy it. So welcome, Anand.
Thanks, Susie.
So today we're going to be discussing evaluating CCaaS platforms and your top tips on finding a best solution.
Mm-hmm.
So how should a business assess its own needs before starting to look for its CCaaS platform?
So we actually recently did an exclusive survey along with Harvard Business Review Analytics Services, and one of the survey questions gave us a response which says that close to 95% of customers are agreeing that customer interactions is a very important and a very important aspect for business to succeed and grow. However, there were about 38% of them who feel that they're not, or rather, it's 38% who are only excelling at it, right? So we have a small pie of the respondents who are actually saying that they're focused and working on it, but there are a majority of them saying they have a lot more to do. What does this translate to? In my view, there are fundamentally four building blocks. One is how do you map your customer requirements to an interaction strategy, right? What does that mean? The different demographic behaviors of the customers would like to have different channels, different ways to interact, and how do you really want to set that expectation for them? So that's point number one. Point number two is what is the blend, or what is the line between a digital and a human interaction that you would want to have? So that becomes a very important criteria as well. The third one is understanding the ecosystem in the aspect of how the data is placed. We do come across a lot of conversations where organizations do have data, but they are all in silos, right? They're not at a place where they are readily available or accessible, because all these go hand in hand, right? So understanding the data ecosystem, the different sources of data, the way they are available, the way they are accessible, and to what levels are they siloed, and to what levels do they need to be coming in the same CDP or the platform, is the third one. And fourth, any businesses will have to stay ahead of the curve. So what are your competitors doing, and how do you want to differentiate yourself in terms of your interaction strategy with as against your competition? So I think these are the broad areas, apart from the regular ones, in terms of business growth, as ROIs, etc. But fundamentally, these pillars are something that we're able to assess. I would imagine they'll be able to get a very clear picture on what CCaaS and what platform to go after based on these assessments.
And when they're ready to choose a platform, what features do you think most businesses should be looking for? Do you have like a top three that you would suggest to everybody?
Absolutely. So one of the IDC report research states that close to 30% of customers who are buying contact center technology fundamentally believe or see that there are multiple vendors and multiple systems that they need to work with, right, as an integration requirement. Given that perspective, and given how the CCaaS world and the interaction world is actually evolving at a much rapid pace, I think there are about the top three that I would put my bets on, is to have a system that qualifies itself and as compliance, from a compliance point of view, it works, and it's complies with regulation and laws of the land, given the fact that we have AI cloud and all that coming in. So regulation and compliance is a very key aspect. The second aspect will be how easy and flexible is the platform that it can integrate with systems and AI models. So the ease at which we're able to get these two to communicate, talk to each other, and therefore come out with an interaction outcome or an interaction strategy outcome is what is the second feature that I would look at. And the third will be a platform or a a provider or a platform that can work with the customers towards an outcome and not towards an implementation, right? So you implement a platform, and then you work towards an outcome, on how that interaction should facilitate a customer journey, is a third aspect, as a feature that I would recommend to go after.
And how important would you say scalability is?
Extremely important. A very dynamic world. Scalability, I would look at it both upwards and downwards. The more we do digital, the less becomes the number of contact center agents, theoretically, and vice versa. So scalability, in terms of platform, becomes extremely crucial. A couple of instances where we ourselves have faced that is one of large logistics company, where they had about 110 countries, 210 delivery centers had to be implemented in quick time, from a legacy system to a cloud system. So that's the level of scalability that the world and businesses and customers are looking at. So I think the auto scalable upwards, downwards, based on the dynamics of business, based on the volume of interactions, becomes extremely important in today's world.
And you touched previously on security, but perhaps you could just talk a little bit more about how important that you feel security and compliance is in a CCaaS platform, particularly in more sensitive industries, say like finance and healthcare.
Yeah. Um, so security is a very important aspect, fundamentally, given the fact that cloud adoption has been at its aggressive peak over the last decade or so. So what that essentially means is, while data privacy becomes very important, the accessibility of this data to make next best actions essentially touch the clouds. That's point number one. Over the recent years, what has added to the complexity in the cloud world is also AI. What that means is, instead of it being driven manually, we've got models that drive sentiments, interaction analytics, and next best actions in terms of what exactly those data mean and what are the next best states. So that brings a very important aspect on compliance and security, where how do I use data effectively, how data is protected, data sovereignty is managed. Every region, every country has got certain laws that needs to be adhered to when you're managing these data, and there are some global regulations as well, as responsible enterprises and citizens that we need to adhere to. And all this is the bedrock of managing compliance security, is the trust at which the partner and the platform, or how can the customer, how can the enterprise trust a platform and the partner to be able to work on these data and align to a CX strategy or a CX goal that the enterprise is envisioning to have. So finance and healthcare become extremely important in the context of how these four areas around data, regulation, sovereignty, and responsible AI come into play. And platforms need and enterprise need to choose partners and platforms who are able to adhere to these four, with stringent governance.
And how important is it for organisations to invest in agent productivity within a CCaaS framework? And what impact does enhancing that agent efficiency have on overall customer satisfaction and business performance?
I think the agent experience or the employee experience in a customer interaction or a contact center is becoming a talking point. The reason being, over the last few years, there's a lot of work that the industry and the platforms have done in enabling customers. Right, you've got choice of channels, you've got choice of data, you've got choice of actions. All that is given to the customer, saying the customer is empowered to decide, get information in terms of what he or she needs. But what happens if that information is not available for the customer? It gets escalated to a contact center voice channel, right? That's when an agent comes in. So typically, if I were a customer, I've tried to do a set of things to seek information on a bot or a digital channel. If I don't get, I've already lost some time. I expect an instant information or answer to whatever I need when I'm talking to an agent. And if that's not going to be available, A, the customer experience dips. B, the agent also is going to be demotivated in terms of what he or she needs to handle the customer for no fault of his or hers, right? So that becomes an important factor when we are looking at a CX strategy. And what we've done in Tata Communications to come with is to come with an agent experience platform called Total Experience that fundamentally merges or converges all interactions into an ecosystem that the agent has got access to, that drives live real-time sentiment and contextual information about the interaction, and also to get a snippet about why this customer could be calling, so that the agent is prepared to handle those to handle that interaction and the customer at that point in time. So I think future is in terms of empowering the agent and enhancing the agent experience that directly translates to a superior customer experience.
Definitely. Well, great. Thank you so much, Anand, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Finding the right CCaaS platform might seem like a daunting task, but with the right insights, it is possible. And business leaders don't just need to ensure they're choosing a platform that supports the right channels and routing capabilities. They need to think about future-proofing their customer experience strategies with scalable, intuitive platforms that can rapidly adjust to their needs. And today's companies have many factors to consider. And of course, how they'll implement generative AI into the contact center is going to be a really interesting focus point in the years to come. So a huge thanks to Anand from Tata Communications for sharing his invaluable tips on what to look for when selecting the perfect platform. Now it's your turn. If you found this helpful, please do like and subscribe to our videos and drop a comment below on the insights and biggest takeaways. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.